Good morning. This is Pastor Chuck coming to you again with hopefully some words of encouragement as most of us are in a lockdown in our homes while the world and our nation tries to come up with a solution concerning this pandemic. You know, I read a story this week that dates back to the period when Abraham Lincoln was the 16th president of the United States. And as the story goes, whether it's true or not, one day an elderly lady was ushered into his private office carrying a covered basket under her arm. And Lincoln asked her, "Ma'am, what can I do for you?" And she replied, "Mr. President, I have come here today not to ask a favor of you or anyone else. I simply heard that you're very fond of cookies, and so I baked all these cookies for you." You know, as Lincoln listened to this woman's words, tears welled up in his eyes. He stood speechless for a moment, and then he said, "My good woman, your thoughtful and unselfish deed truly moved me. You see, thousands of people have entered this office since I became the president, but you alone are the first person to come asking no favor for yourself or anyone else." Think about that for a moment. You know, I had a similar experience the day before yesterday. I was shopping at Meat Farms, which is a local grocer here on Long Island. And my experience wasn't engaging with the President of the United States, and nor did I stay up all night baking cookies for someone. When I was checking out in the checkout line at the Meat Farms, I said to the checkout lady, "Thank you for coming in today and serving us during this crisis." That's all I said. And I want to tell you, she looked astonished. "You know," she said, "no one has ever said that to me before." And then she went on, "It's really tough because I'm a single mom. And with everything that's going on during this difficult time, it's very difficult for someone to watch my children in order to allow me to come to work, seeing that there's no school. I'm not sure how much longer I will be able to do this." And so I replied, "Well, I just want you to know that you play a critical role during what we are facing during this coronavirus epidemic. And you, ma'am, are appreciated." You know, in the book of Numbers, chapter 6, verses 24 to 26, God told Moses to have Aaron and his sons bless the children of Israel with an extraordinary pronouncement of security, grace, and peace. And this prayer is also known as a benediction. Many synagogues and churches use these verses as a benediction at the end of a service. And here are the words. And various Bibles have different translations, but I'd like to read this. "May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace." Aren't those beautiful words? Now, I may not have recited this prayer from the book of Numbers to this checkout lady at Meat Farms, but I can tell you that she deeply appreciated me thanking her. And she displayed, I believe, a greater peace than she had before I thanked her. You know, my friends, I remember after the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan in New York City was attacked on September 11th, 2001, I spent 3 months working down at Ground Zero during that recovery operation. My memory of that smoldering pile of debris that once made up those two huge towers has been etched into my mind to this very day. While I was there, I witnessed what it looks like for a nation to come together as a family, united as one around a crisis. It was amazing. There were no Democrats or Republicans or independents. There were no conservatives or liberals or progressives. Everybody came together as a nation. And in fact, the world even rallied around us after that attack. It was a beautiful thing to see. Down at Ground Zero, I remember the Salvation Army food truck that was positioned just at the foot of the pile where the ramp goes down into the pile where the digging was taking place. And here were Salvation Army workers handing out sandwiches and hot coffee and water and provisions for us working down there. I remember the American Red Cross providing exhausted workers who had been working 12, 13, 14 hours with meals and equipment. I could still see the canine handlers from all across the country who came with their dogs to help search for those who were beneath that debris. Of course, there were the brave firefighters from the FDNY and volunteer firefighters from all over the place. There were the police officers from the NYPD and police departments from all over the place who came to help during this great tragedy. And then there were those who I have called the unsung heroes. In fact, I mention them in my book, Beyond the Badge. You know, the unsung heroes were the iron workers. These were guys that helped build, not tear down. These were individuals who worked heavy equipment. They weren't trained to be first responders. And yet, they didn't have chaplains. They didn't have a support base other than the volunteers that came. And yet they were there day in and day out, moving debris gently with backhoes and other heavy equipment in the recovery effort that was going on during that time. I call them the unsung heroes, and I have great respect for them. I was so thankful for all the good I witnessed during those weeks and months I spent down at that tragic and unimaginable scene. Well, fast forward 19 years to today. Begin to think about what's going on all around you during this crisis that our world is facing. Often I wear a hat that my grandson gave me. I'm going to hold it up. I hope you can see it. It says U.S. Army paratrooper with a pair of jump wings that us paratroopers used to wear on our uniform. And oftentimes I'll walk through a store or somewhere and somebody will see the hat and say, "Thank you for your service." And I appreciate that, their kindness. Well, there are lots of folks who are out there doing a Herculean job on our behalf right now and every day who may not wear a hat that symbolizes what they're doing, but yet they're working behind the scenes for you and for me. Just as I was thankful for the Salvation Army and the Red Cross and all the canine handlers and the first responders and the iron workers and all the volunteers down at Ground Zero, I am thankful for all those who are working every day while we are quarantined in our homes. My heart just goes out with gratitude to the nurses and the doctors who are putting in hours that are just beyond extraordinary every single day. The first responders, EMTs, paramedics, police officers, firefighters, the truck drivers who climb into the cabs of their vehicles every single day to deliver provisions and merchandise every single day so that we have a supply chain keeping our country and in fact the world going during this pandemic. I want to just thank the grocery workers like that lady at Meat Farms who go to work every single day. Just think about this, exposing themselves, working for us so that we could put food on our table. I'm thankful for the trash collectors, by the way, who picked up my trash just this morning, about a half hour ago, and all the work they're doing so that we can remain healthy in our neighborhoods, so that there's a sanitary standard that's kept during this crisis. All the public servants on a national level, a state level, and local level who are putting in long hours so people can still have confidence that they're working hard behind the scenes to come up with a solution to address this problem. I think about my pharmacist who continues to fill our prescriptions, and they're putting in extra hours so that people don't go without their medications. And then I think about the food pantries and volunteer food outlets that are still in operation, providing food to the homeless and the needy families in our communities. And then all the businesses that had to shut down. I think about the sacrifice that has made, that their business was completely shut down so that we could stem the passing and the sharing of this virus with one another. I know everyone is tense, and I know that some of us may be becoming stir crazy in our homes. But just remember, while we're in our homes watching TV, playing board games, having good family time, reading books, there are folks who are sacrificing so much on our behalf to make our lives better and safer. God is teaching us, I really believe this, or at least I hope, God is teaching us to be more appreciative of the things perhaps that we had taken for granted in the past. Things that we just took for granted that will be there. A restaurant, supplies, toilet paper, just things that every day we passed and we never gave it a second thought until now. And you know, my friends, it's my prayer that when this pandemic is over, that all people will live more thankful and appreciative for what we have, and to always remember the God and the servants who helped us get through this. Well, you know, until next time, which will be this coming Sunday, I want to just say this blessing that I recited before from the book of Numbers. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Peace, my friends. I pray that you have that peace that passes all understanding now and in the days ahead. God bless. Until next time.